Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Salem Al Mutawwa.
Hello, Abdu. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. Thank you for your team for inviting me here and you yourself. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is ours.
Thank you.
Let's talk about you and your life.
All right.
So it's an interesting story that you were once an engineering student and then you moved on to a business field.
Yeah.
How did that come down to be?
Okay. So look, maybe we'll take a step back from that. If anyone sees me now from high school, it's like that dude was like the worst dude. He was like naughty, getting suspended every single week, always in detentions. I still owe my school detentions. That's how bad I was. My dad promised me that he will get me a nice watch. So that motivated me to finish high school. And basically when I finished high school, and I did get like all B grades. And just that me studying in 2 months, people like were studying because it was IG systems where you have to study like for 2 years. And once that was done, then I'm like, what's next? It's like, okay, go to university. My dad wanted me to study abroad. I was too lazy to apply for abroad, so I just applied locally. And I got accepted to Kuwaiti University, College of Engineering. It was, I guess, I wouldn't say by chance. It's that year they were accepting low percentages. So I got in it with a low percent and I got in it. And I was brought up, as I told you, in a very Palestinian household. My mom's either you become a doctor or an engineer.
Right.
Like house engineer, I can't get to doctor, that's the second option. I got in there. I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think my GPA was?
Yeah, I have no clue, but it's going to be very low. I guess. What's the base? What's the range?
Okay, from 0
to 4, right?
Yeah.
2.4.
That you consider that bad? That was actually, it would have been good at the time. That would be amazing.
I'm from Indian education system, so I don't know how to read.
I was in Indian school. I was a CBS. I left an English school because a CBSE system, it's the Indian system. It wouldn't be applicable to universities or scholarship. I had to go to an IG system.
Right.
So I was in FAPES DPS, by the way, just as a reference.
Okay.
Yeah. My mom was a teacher there for a while as well. But yeah, I'll be your second guest.
Okay.
Guess.
Is it lower than 2.4?
It's lower than 1.
Oh my God. Okay, 0.9.
0.69. That's how bad it was. And I finished 4 credits, okay, in 2 years. 2 years, more credits.
You could have said 0.7. Why did you say 0.69?
Because that's the real number. It's actually 0.69. That was the number that it was. And I went into university when I was like 16. Okay, because you can graduate earlier. And
right.
If I was really young, and after 2 years when I turned 18, I'm like, okay, I need to do something, And yeah,
0.69 is too low, brother.
I know, no. And now I teach in universities, by the way. And I tell them the story. That's
kind of advanced.
Yeah. But when they say Hasad and red eye, but when I tell anyone my GPA is 0.69, it's like, oh, actually the red eye and Hasad was good in this situation for the first time, But, and then like I turned 18 and I was 2 years in, I'm like, okay, I need to do something. So behind my mom and dad, I withdrew my papers from Kuwait University, went to apply to AUK, said I'll start fresh, no one would know. And then I would like get good grades and tell them, oh, by the way, I went to university, but I'm getting good grades. My master plan in my mind. So I applied to AUK, and I don't know if you know this, but in IG systems, the what you call it, the certificate expires in 2 years. Like whatever you get a grade, it expires in 2 years.
Okay.
But there was one grade, it was physics. I did it a year earlier in high school. It's called accelerated. I don't want to get too technical, but basically that subject got expired.
Okay.
If they need 6 subjects, I had now 5 because the one got expired. And they actually told me you are accepted for scholarship, but we need to get approval from the ministry. Well, they realized this thing and they're like, we can't do anything. So now I withdrew my papers. I didn't tell my family. Okay. And if I would reapply to or do the exam again, the other 5 subjects would expire. So I was in a very weird situation. And I remember I went in, told my dad, and my dad is my hero. you know. And my dad is a macho guy, so and he was the one who was rooting for me. For that day, I disappointed him. My mom went crazy. It's like, Shakir, that's my dad name. Well, your son, my son. Like, and it was all my dad. My dad did not say anything. He just had that disappointment, just sat in a dark room, just went quiet. I'm like, okay, I let him down. And I said, I don't want to let him down. So that was my main motivator. I told him, Dad, get me back into university, whatever it takes, but I will do it. Well, there was a big case that happened that how did you let a 18-year-old student withdraw their papers, whatever. So they kind of won the case, and I think they changed the rule for everyone in the university after that, that you need to get your parental consent to withdraw the papers.
Oh,
So whoever wanted to withdraw after that, I'm sorry, I ruined it for you. I didn't know what to do. The only other option, I had a friend who was there, and he was in a very similar situation to me. He kept going to the College of Business. There was a bit of a love story as well there. I don't want to get into too much details, but that's why I went to the College of Business, just because I liked a girl there who is now my wife. Yeah,
oh,
yeah. So no one says haram. I should have. The intent was good, and I just continued to transfer from engineering to business school. You need a GPA of 2.67. So I had to work my way up to 2.67, transferred. Alhamdulillah, I did graduate from from the College of Business. I forgot if the GPA and major GPA, there are two. It's 3.51, 3.67. So what's funny is that people start to really dislike me at the end of the 2 years because I became like the super nerd, full A student. And I would ruin the curve because they would base it on curves. So everyone's getting like 70, 80, and that would be an A. But because someone's getting 90, if you ruin the curve, no one likes you now, you know? They don't like me in the group projects because I'll do most of the work. But yeah, it was a good motivator. I got married also in university, so that was also a further push that I wanted to finish. And yeah, that's how I got into the College of Business. That's how I transitioned.
just a side note for the audience. Behind every successful man, there's a woman.
Yes, and so woman, not woman, because it's like even like my mom, my wife, my sister, my partners, my loved ones, everyone. I'm actually accumulation of all these people. Like who I am today, if it wasn't for them at each stage, then I wouldn't be here, you know? Definitely. Yani, it's not just that one person. It's like, at least I could mention 10, but I don't want to say names because just in case I forget anyone, they get upset. Yeah.
So you were a naughty child. You were not at all disciplined while in school. Do you think that all that rage inside you when you were in school, you're removing that through your fitness, through your Spartan workouts and your athleticism?
In a way, yes. But I was actually a really good, disciplined child when I was young. But I lost my brother when I was 11. And I'm the eldest of all my brothers. And I changed, you know. There was a lot of guilt.
How old were you?
11. And my youngest brother was 4. There was a lot of guilt that I felt that it was my fault. That was actually the first time I felt I disappointed my dad, you know. That's where it goes back to the link of what happened in university.
Mm.
And my dad, he's, as I said, a macho guy, never cries. Since the first time I see my dad cry, I felt it was my fault. My mom had a difficult time coping with it. Any mom would. I would understand now why she did, but I felt there was a bit of blame on me. But I know she never meant it. It's just, I guess, a way that she didn't know how to vent. So after that, I became really naughty. Like, I just wanted to explode. So I got into actually anime and all that stuff. I don't know if you know Dragon Ball, and my favorite character is Vegeta, right? So he's always that strong guy, always working out. But that's the origin of me working out, as well as my dad. He was known to be this strong bodybuilder. I got into sports because of that, and ever since I was a kid, I was into sports. Like since I've been 4 years old, I was into karate, and then transitioned to bodybuilding, and now I'm into anything that is challenging. But all natural, you know,
Right.
having fun with it.
So is that how you connect to the Japanese culture? Is that the starting point of your life?
Yeah, that's it. It comes back to anime, Dragon Ball, and my dream to go to Japan. You know, you see these animes and the delicious food and beautiful scenery, and you want to be part of this. So yeah,
So the name Tokyo Warrior, the watch brand business that you have,
okay,
the watch enthusiasm that you have, it's
okay.
coming from. It's the starting point is from this anime start culture.
Yes, but it's not directly, but I would say there's two accounts. So there's the Tokyo Warrior and Tokyo Ronin.
Right.
Tokyo Ronin is for the watches. The word Toki is the similar aspect. What's Toki? Toki is watch or watchmaker in Japanese.
Okay.
So I'm really into Japanese watches. So I thought it was different, you know. So and it had a nice ring to Toki, you know. So I loved it, and yeah, I had support in building the name and all that stuff. The studies was really done as a homework, but I wanted the add-on word. So for my watch account, Toki Ronin comes as a masterless samurai. Okay, and in watches, there's a lot of hype and hype brands, and I always wanted to be different. I want to be masterless. I want to be controlled by the hype. So that's where the word Toki Ronin initially came. Toki Warrior came after that because wanting to segregate both, because I was putting like my watch account sports, and it wasn't really, there was no synergy. So I was like, okay, it's time to separate them. And I've always loved the warrior spirit. You know, I wouldn't consider myself as the best runner or best athlete, but I know that I have, alhamdulillah, one of the strongest will to keep moving forward, to get the job done, no matter what it takes. Ask all my colleagues, they've seen me in like busted knees, busted ankles, but I still go the distance.
Wow.
Because I believe that's what a true warrior is to survive and keep on going. And my signature move at the time before the flag was always to showcase my watch. So I'd wear a different watch. I'm like, well, you know, like at the time, you know. So that's where Tokyo Warrior comes. But now when people see me, they're like, Toki. I'm like, I'm not a bird. Okay, it's like I call your parents, you know. Well, it's got a nice ring to it, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the business side of things.
Yep.
You, what position do you hold in Alliance Company?
Okay, so basically, I'm a partner and the chief operating officer of the company. So basically, I handle the planning and the implementation side of the businesses or startups that come in our way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you manage all the operations in the company. Is that?
Yes, I do manage and oversee, but like the strategic side lies with the CEO, who was my mentor, Ismail. I think you've met him as well. Yeah. So he's the brains of the company. I'm the bronze. So we take it that way, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So what was the most challenging operations you've had to take on in this company?
As a partner or as a journey? Because there's a lot of things. Because as a partner, there is specific difficulties that I faced, and let's say as an overall journey, it's
Go for both of them.
okay. So we'll do. We have time, right?
Yeah.
So okay. So we'll have a bit of extra storytelling.
Yes.
So after, let's say, finishing university, looking for a job, I worked in a company, a very big firm, without saying names, for a year and a half. Didn't like it. I felt like I followed the money. There was a lot of bribery, unethical activities, and I didn't like it. So I left. And then there was this company called Cubicle Services, and I got to know it through a friend that I had in preliminary school. I've not seen him for I don't know how many years, but he was like, "Oh, Sam, what are you doing?" And I was like frail, and I had a kid, and I was looking for a job. I'm like, I'm looking for a job, man, you know. And he's like, "Are you good in managing?" Kind of this dude's interviewing. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good," you know. Then he's like, okay, I'm going to send you 2 companies, and whatever you see is suitable for you, I'll hook you up with a meeting. It's just so random. Okay. He sent me one company. He didn't send me the other. And the website, it was a very preliminary website at the time, but every single tab that you write, it was like, we help people start their businesses. I'm like, okay, a job helping people. So there's ethicality. I'm like, okay, it's different. I've never heard of it. And I'm like, okay, I would love to have an interview. So I went where I had an interview with the CEO at the time. Very different from the big company that I was working in, where it was all politics, about a lot of money and a lot of insurance, a lot of good things. But it was from a monetary aspect. This was the complete opposite. Like I was offered a quarter of my salary, very small team, but it was like an opportunity that I felt like not following the crowd. And I remember that a university teacher is like, don't follow the crowd because that's where you find the most opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked them, and I didn't really have backup, but in the beginning it was really difficult. There was not a lot of structure, not a lot of projects. But then Ismail came in, and Ismail that was in a sabbatical leave at the time. But when he came, and how he guided us, like that's why I say he's my mentor. And we were like a small group of four. Like I was the only guy, and there was the three other ladies. They like Hamda. I do take credit for this, but any project that would go south, they were like, okay, give it to Sam. Ismail always trusted to give it to me. And then we start to really grow. We transitioned to Hamra Tower and all that stuff. And I'm talking, this is between 2016, 2017. Okay. At the end of 2017, they were promoting. And I love the story. Like I even told one of your colleagues the other day. And I was like, let's say Ismail's main man, okay? And Ismail was a department head at the time. And all the partners in the company, they're like, okay, it's time to promote Sam to a managerial level. Who's the one who stopped me becoming a manager?
Cool.
Ismail.
Oh.
I was so furious at the time. I'm like, I didn't feel like I got that big of a salary compared to my old job. And you start me from when you know that I'm the guy. I'm your go-to guy.
Right.
I remember I went down like, Ismail, tell me, why did you stop this? He's like, because you're the best coordinator. You're very good in following tasks to do, but you don't know how to lead. To be a manager, you should know how to lead. And you don't have that skill. It's very easy to promote you, but you don't have that skill. But it's very difficult to demote you, or then I'll have to fire you. I don't want to do that. And I felt it was and I was still young at the time, and I'm like, I understood, but I didn't. Okay, and I'm like, okay, is this a challenge? Tell me, what do I need to do? And I told him, it's like, start leading projects. I started to do that. And then he himself, he's the one who said, it's time for you to become a manager. And when I did, I realized he was right, because when I did become a manager and I had my team, it is so difficult to lead a team. So difficult. Should they fear you or should they respect you? Can you be too nice or should you be too stiff? Should you spoon feed them? It's like finding that balance. It took me years to figure that out. Even when I became a partner, and I will get into that. And we got an opportunity by the major shareholders of the company, or the founders of Cubicle, mainly Abdu Tayyib. He said, because we were growing and our department was the cash cow of the company at the time. It's like, let's create a company, let's create a spin-off company from the main company. Because we want to grow, because when you're part of the same conglomerate, the profits are shared, whatever, for you have certain restrictions.
Right.
For having your own spin-off company, you have your own books, you have a bit of more responsibility, but a bit more freedom. Like you have to wait out. And that was offered to me. And that was something I wanted at the time. I loved my job. I had that passion. I had that drive. But when it comes to you, it was scary. It's like, okay, being a partner means a lot of responsibility. It's not, you get ahead, you get the first hit. But if you succeed, you get the most risk at the end of the day.
Right.
And Ismail was to be the CEO of the company. I would be his partner, and the head of governmental relations, Khawla, is also the third partner. I joined before Khawla, and it was a good year, the first year of partnership, 2019. Oh, the money, we were planning to expand and franchising, and we were like, going to, we want to be a $500,000 KD company until 2020. And this is, so I talked about the difficulty of the job, which was being a manager, but then 2020 hits and then COVID strikes.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything changes. Lockdown. How are we going to deal with clients? People don't want to start businesses. We help people start businesses. People are now closing down. So you need to pivot. Pivot means you need to change your company structure. How much do you change? How much do you retain? How much do you charge? And we had to forego luxuries. And one of the hardest but best moves that I think the company did, I was against this at the time, to be honest, but they had proven me wrong, was to leave Hamra. Hamra is a luxury, but we forgoed everything. We let everything go. We were the first people to do that. And we're like, COVID, this lockdown was like 1, 2 months, 3 months. But I'm glad we did, because if we didn't, because the rent was like 6,000 KD, it's better to invest it in your staff than on luxuries that you're not using. That really reformed us to be more sharpened, to be true survivors, because a lot of similar companies to us, like we had the majority market share, but because there was a lot of opportunities in the governmental sector to support businesses, so they would, people wanted a piece of the pie. But it flushed out most of the competitors that couldn't survive, because it showcased who was a strong strategic planner. But other than foregoing luxuries, who takes the first hit on salaries? The partners. You know, I worked so hard to get all the salary to this much, and then the first one to get it down. It was only me, Ismail, Khawla. I'll be honest, I was against all these decisions at the time. It was very frustrating. Personal life, work life, everything was changing. It's really difficult. Again, they proved me wrong, and it gained more trust in my partners as well. And we came out of COVID. We all moved to Salem, where we had a project that cubicles helping, and we stayed there for a good 2-3 years. You know, a smaller team, but we made our operations more efficient. These 2-3 years were difficult, especially from my mindset, because I wouldn't understand my partner's perspective, right? You know, and I do put myself accountable for that. In some sort of way, because we survived it, and because we were survivors, and I think the most important trait of any business person is to be a survivor. And because all three of us are, we were able to form this synergy. And we now expanded again. We expanded in terms of locations. We expanded in terms of services. Our services are done so efficiently in a 5-6 step process that when I used to have 3-4 employees to do the job, I can do it with one. You know what I mean? So it was a good time to reform, but still the market is not as it used to be. So I wouldn't say it's all sunshine and roses, but we're always in this mode where we need to pivot. We need to search opportunities, because there's always an opportunity. Right. So overall, the journey is hard to be a partner, but to have good partners, people that you honestly trust, and have synergy with them, and they have the same survival instinct, that's the most. But people who are ethical as well. I love my partner. Like, I wouldn't change them for the world. Yani, I wouldn't be here without them. I would do injustice saying that it's us. We were the team. And even when our salaries were cut, Ismail did an initiative that we got paid back everything at the end of the year and everything. So it was hard times, but the fruits came later. Right. So that's why I gained this trust so immensely in every business.
Also, as a partner yourself, it's critical to have someone who disagrees. So, like,
yes,
if Ismail is giving a decision or a suggestion and you just agree with it, you're thinking, okay, Ismail said it must be right. Sometimes that can backfire you for the company. But if you disagree and maybe the decision is better because of your disagreement, then the company flourishes because of that. So I think you, as someone who disagrees to the decisions, is also an important part of the company.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like I'm the most one who would disagree, even till this day. Maybe it's me being in control, me having my thoughts, trying to transition. I wouldn't say all of our decisions are right. I wouldn't say all my decisions are right and let's say Ismail Khawla is right. And I wouldn't say vice versa. There are certain things that I told them to do before that maybe if we done earlier, we would be in a better position.
Right.
But if I'll be very honest with you, Abdu, there is no right or wrong decision when it comes to business.
True.
It's all about risks and opportunities. So maybe we would be better position, maybe we'd be worse, but it's about having that agreement amongst all. You wouldn't see me unless I'm very upset. I would say, okay, just to let go because I gave up. But I usually would come back. I'm like, okay, we can do this. And it's my usually always come back. And again, it's my partners who would always say that we need to do it as a group decision. And us being this army of three is stronger than a person of one. And we learned to accept each other for our differences. In the beginning, I think we all wanted us to be the same version of ourselves.
Right.
But that's so wrong.
And there's no value in that.
There's no value. There's no growth. But if there's someone who's completes you, that's why now I tell you, Ismail is the brains, I'm the bronze, and Khawla is basically the main point of what do I call it? Of keeping us together,
Right.
You know,
The center point.
the center point. You know, like she has this element that none of us, me and Ismail, have. You know, and I've learned from both. Right, yani whatever I know now is learning from both, taking what I know. I do give myself credit for that, but it's just being able to accept and talk in a more partnership way.
Right.
The simplest.
I heard somewhere that ideas have value only when they are challenged. So if you don't challenge an idea, it's probably not worth it, or it doesn't have that much value. So I think when you challenge an idea that Ismail gives, it's probably that idea has some value, that it has to be challenged. And when also then you become a bigger person when you disagree and then you accept later on. Hey, so that's a value that you bring to the company as a partner, that you disagree but you accept at the end.
Look, a good partnership would disagree in the beginning, but they would join forces with having, okay, this is a good idea. It's disagreed upon, but adding why those disagreements, the solutions to that, and continuing in that idea, that's good partnership.
Right.
But that doesn't start from day one.
True.
This doesn't start, even in a marriage, if you love someone, it doesn't start in day one. It starts with years of knowing and understanding perspective. I think the main word to say here is perspective. If you're too rigid of not understanding the other person's perspective, you just be too arrogant or too egotistical to listen to them. It's just that I'm right, you're wrong, and he's like, you're the same thing. And human nature has that. But once you say, okay, I understand where he's coming from, and he's understand where I'm coming from, how can we merge both? That is where the value comes, and that's where usually the success comes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So the second part of that you were going to talk about, the difficulties in partnership.
Yes.
Please talk about that.
I did kind of speak about it, which is the finding the synergy between the partners. Being a partner, also you get or a business owner in general, you get the first hits. You're the one who has to work the hardest sometimes. Your heart is in the company, because if you do not work or you do not find solutions, the lives of your staff and their families is on you, you know? So that's basically a summary of what I previously spoke.
Right.
But partnership is hard. And honestly, I say that not only from our experience, but also the experience that I see with clients. I've seen families, friends, best friends, brothers, sisters break up because of partnerships, and because it comes into money, and money is important.
Absolutely.
And as much as you say money, I don't care about whatever it will. Even if it's 1 KD, it's not about the money value itself. It's about unethical approach that was taken or the miscommunication on that. It's really hard.
Yeah. Also, social media has glamorized partnerships and ownerships so much that they don't see the dark side of partnerships.
Yes.
They just see that it's all sunshines and roses. I think the dark side is more than the sunshine. And the sunshine comes way later in your life. It's like 5 to 7 years down the line. And the first 5 years, it's all dark side of it. Right.
I agree with you 100%. And that's not only in partnership, in business itself. To start a business, I think it's over glamorous, as you said in social media. They say, oh, it seems so easy. It's not that easy at all. 80% of businesses fail in the third year. It reaches up to 90 by the fifth year. So you have only a 10% survival rate
Right.
of businesses. Okay, and that's where they start to see the fruits.
Right.
And we just hear the end of the success stories. We don't see how they struggled, what they went through. We just see them, okay, this is, I want to be like him. And everyone thinks, some people luck strikes them, alhamdulillah, okay, but that's not a normal thing. Honestly, and we were talking about this today, that a good business person, or the businesses that flourish, who have the concept of the survival of the fittest in the business nature, because the business world is a very complex, difficult world where, as much as you want to be ethical, you need to be balanced and certainly having different leeways, and it's not easy at all.
Right.
You know, yeah.
What do you think is the single most reason for why all the businesses who succeed beyond the 5-year mark, why do they do that? Why do they succeed? What do you think?
They are more strategic. Strategy is very important. I wouldn't say everyone is emotional, but they are. It's a more controlled emotion in finding solutions than just dealing with problems. You need to have, as I told, the most important thing is that survival within the business world. And I think goodwill. I've seen a lot of businesses, especially in Kuwait, at least that we've dealt with. I wouldn't generalize, but they have good thoughts, good deeds, and good initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually succeed that mark. It's the survival instinct that will make you flourish, and being strategic in that, not just being spontaneous. Although I'm a very spontaneous guy, as you know, but yeah, you just need to know how to control yourself.
So how did you control your spontaneity? And now you're into operations, which is a lot of planning,
Yes.
right? A lot of pre-planning before you execute.
Yes.
So how do you control that?
You know what's funny? I am the worst planner. Okay. in exams, I have never revised my, like, I'll just submit the paper. I just want to finish fast. But that's the thing. I am not the strategic guy. Ismail is. That's where the compliment comes. I am not the patient guy. Khawla is. Okay? So they complete the structure of what alliance is. So yes, I'm very critical to see someone else's plan. But I myself, I'm not much of a planner.
Mm-hmm.
My spontaneous works for me in the nature of what I do. Okay? So, but I always do plan. Like, for example, let's say in my watch account, for example. I plan up the topics I want to talk ahead of time, what I want to do, what are certain initiatives I want to do. It's kind of planned out, okay? But it is spontaneous. It's like, okay, I got this thought, I want to try it.
Right.
I'm taking the opportunities and chances. Not all of them hit, a lot of them fail, but the one that hits, there's a big fruits in it. Very similarly in how we operate in Alliance, but Tokyo Ronin is solo. Alliance needs to have stronger people. That consortium of experts,
right,
in different fields in order to survive. So yeah.
But I think when the ship falls, you will be the best person to take decisions because of your spontaneity. Sometimes when the urgent matters arrive, or when there's a disaster, it's like, who do we look up to take the decisions, the hard decisions? I think you'll always come up.
Ismail would be the one to take the hard decisions, but I will be the one to implement. And Khawla would make sure that it's consistent.
But the spontaneous decision, I think you would be better, don't you think?
I'm too spontaneous.
Yeah.
Too spontaneous. For the nature of our work. Maybe if another thing, yes. Maybe for other businesses, yes. For our clients' businesses, yes. That spontaneity factor is good. But for our business, no, it needs a bit of a step back strategic one, because you're handling a lot of projects. So if you fail, they fail. And you need to lead by example. So that's basically it.
I mean, I have a story to share. I had a startup company myself back in 2015. It was a tech startup. Some of the mistakes that I see and I reflect upon now that I think I'm better at managing was I started with all in expenses and had no incomes and no plans for generating incomes for the next few months. So I set up the office, I hired the employees, planned for what to be working and what we should be working on, developed apps and stuff like that. For the first year, we had no incomes, although it was just expenses. So now when I look back, I'm like, okay, I should reverse it. First, have some level of business in hand, some deals closed, some contracts, and then we start putting out the major expenses like rents and other expenses. So I think that was a big mistake, and that didn't work out at that point of time. What do you make of it?
You learn through experience, and the fact you're acknowledging it is making you a better business person, have more business acumen. And by the way, this is not wrong the way that you thought, because even me, when I was in the business, I've been in this business since 2015. But when we were letting go, let's say from Hamra, that was a luxury. Okay, and going to Salmiya in a very small, more consolidated environment, I was more focused on the luxuries of what should be. Ismail, on the other hand, in Khawla, no, they were focused on, no, we should focus on the needs, okay, and then have the cash and expand. So there's no shame on that, because even me, when I was in the field, already 4 or 5 years in, I didn't learn it unless I lived it. So, but it's a good thing that you're acknowledging it, and that just makes you a better business person. So if you want to start this tech company again, you would know what to do.
So, what are the ways businesses can improve in Kuwait's market?
Okay, I don't want to sound cliche, but you need to plan. Okay, I told her most spontaneous room, but you need to plan. Look, about people have this wrong conception of planning. It's like, okay, if you plan, do you guarantee me success? Planning never guarantees you success. Anyone who says that is a liar. Okay, we planned for nearly 1,000 businesses. We'd be multi-billionaires by now. But that doesn't work. It lowers the risk of failure when taken from that perspective.
Right.
And don't see planning as a cost. See it as an investment. For example, you want to spend 100,000 KD on a project, okay? You're not willing to spend 2.5% of that? 5%, 5,000 KD? It's like, no, that's too much. So you're willing to spend 100,000. That 5,000 KD would lower the risk of you losing the 100,000.
Right.
It's an investment. Okay. But unfortunately, we don't have this conception here within the local or Arab territory. It's maybe found abroad. Like here, like for example, if I would give a free session, they don't value it. You do it in Europe, it's like, oh, I got something free and I learned so much. Here, they would see the value when they pay it, but they're not willing to pay so much. It's like their own perceived value. So planning to lower your risk of failure through someone who is expert in the field, it's best to do that. Do your due diligence, study the market, be financially literate. That is the worst thing that I've seen, that most entrepreneurs are not even financially literate. They have good businesses. I've seen so many success stories, businesses that seem successful in the front end. In the back end, they have not even done profit for a single month. I once had a project, I would never forget this, a project Abdu. I think this was in 2017. 2017, I got 5 clients at the same time saying, I want the same. It was a hyped concept. I can't disclose them because we signed NDAs. It was a hyped concept. It's like, I want to do this project. I'm like, okay, we'll do it. And we studied it in different variations. And this business model does not seem feasible. And those 5 clients were upset with us, like, oh, they're so successful and you guys don't know anything and whatever and all that stuff. 3 months after that, that concept came to us, okay, and said, we want to sell the business. Like, mashallah, everyone wants to be like your business. It's like, we're not making any profits. And when we analyzed the data, in the front end, they look so huge, and they were not making it. They were in like a deep loss of nearly 5,000 KD monthly. Imagine. So you need to have trust in those experts and not just take the image that is shown, because sometimes they're like, oh, this is 100 billion revenue generating business. Okay, revenue. You know what? You know what's the difference between revenue and profit, or gross profit or net profit? They don't know this. You need to be a business that is profitable, that is scalable and sustainable.
Right.
Everyone has a goal. I want to make money. I tell them, what's the goal to start a business? To generate revenue, because you can do your revenue, but you're in a loss. To make profit. Okay, what type of profit? Okay, gross profit. You may even still be in a loss. All right, net profit. I could be profitable by doing 100 KD monthly. Sure, but can I expand? No. So you need to do enough profit to be scalable and sustainable. So having this small nuances, this small knowledge, will give you a clearer vision, clearer way to go ahead, if not in the beginning, but at a later stage. But unfortunately, this is deeply lacking. It's a rare to find someone who's financially literate. Like when I say with someone, like I smile. I'm like, I'm glad that we're working with you. I don't have to over explain what we're doing, and they value us even more.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
How easy do you think setting up new businesses in Kuwait is?
It's not easy.
It's not.
Super difficult. But if you are able to set up a business in Kuwait, you are by default able to set up a business anywhere in the GCC, because it's the hardest country to set up a business.
What are the challenges?
Let's say expenses. Firstly, expenses, costings, a lot of competition, but there's no such thing. Oh, the market is saturated. The market is always saturated. So in the day I've been in this business is saturated, the market is not good. I've heard this forever.
Sure.
But there is always those successful businesses that come up because it's just a simple solution to a problem that no one's seen. And usually the most simplest ideas or problems, which seem very easy solutions, but has a lot of planning behind it. That is one side. Also, governmentally and legally, the process flow is, let's say, lengthier and more difficult in comparison to other countries. Even attaining like the staffs from different countries. So it's a longer process.
Right.
But again, having that survival instinct would let you keep on moving forward,
So what one change you would want in terms of policies in order to ease the business setup process in Kuwait?
I know they're trying, but like if we compare it, let's say to UAE, basically you can set up, or even in Saudi, set up your business at the traffic light. That's the biggest example. They said, at the traffic light, I set up my business. In Kuwait, it takes 2-3 months. Even sometimes we get sponsors from other countries outside. They get, okay, I take 1 day to do this in my country. You're taking 2-3 months. Until they come to Kuwait, they believe us.
Right.
So that's definitely it. But I don't find that much difficulty in my department because it's more of planning. Okay, but in the governmental relations department that Khalid and Ismail do handle that, they face more difficulties than I do. But they're well experienced to handle it. If anyone in Kuwait wants to go to the best, I fully vouch for them blindedly,
Right.
Yeah.
Once the business is set up, what is the fastest way to make from 0 to 100,000 dinars?
The fastest way?
Yeah. In Kuwait's market.
Look, maybe the fastest way, I'm going to sound like this guru, but the fastest way is maybe not the best way. You can get 0 to 100,000 KD, okay? And it coming fast, you will lose it fast because it's most probably a hype concept. Okay, so you're getting something hyped. You got 100,000 KD. You maybe have invested 80,000 through different marketing channels, whatever. You made like 20,000 KD out of the 100,000, but it's hyped. And then suddenly you start losing. So growing it steadily is actually a better approach. And as I told you, it takes 5 years. So I'm not saying that you're losing in the 5 years. You may be doing crazy profits in the first year.
Right.
But is it good enough for the second, third, fourth, fifth year? Okay, so it has to be scalable and sustainable. Then you have the 100,000, either go to another hype concept, okay, invest your cash in that, or make your concept unhyped. Make it ongoing. And there's so many factors you can't control. COVID, what's happening in Palestine, affect a lot of companies,
Right.
in a good way, boycotting and whatnot. But you never know what the market is. Like I see a lot of businesses getting set up, and they are known to be boycotted, and now they're suffering. But I don't know if the owners knew, they didn't know. But it's like if it happened before that, everyone was wanting it. They were like, "Oh, we wish we had this franchise here, whatever." So there's so many different factors. So there's no such thing as getting the first or quick 100,000. But if it does, it's usually not a good sign.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of economy, in Kuwait's economy, do you think that we're lacking a lot of manufacturing plants in Kuwait? Like for example, Saudis, anyways, they have a lot of manufacturing. Once Pepsi and Coke were boycotted for Palestine, Saudi immediately came up with Kinza and other brands. Do you think that's lacking in Kuwait?
Yes, definitely. And for a lot of reasons, maybe I can't talk about publicly, but maybe the simplest word would say corruption. And for a lot of reasons is that it's just the process to get industrial land and approvals and allocated land. I know people that were working waiting 10, 20 years to get the land. So when is he going to start? And the study that he did 10, 20 years ago is outdated.
Right.
So what you were manufacturing 10, 20 years, there's new technology. You know what I mean? So it's very, very outdated in Kuwait. And again, to be honest, corruption plays a very big role in that, unfortunately. So that's why we are very behind. Although Kuwait was known to be the front runners in comparison to the GCC in new concepts. And like that's why if you see, there's a lot of respect because I go a lot around the GCC towards Kuwaiti concepts. It's like, okay, this is Kuwaiti concept. There's automatic approval. Why? I do not know, but because they have this perception. And yes, there is a lot of good Kuwaiti talent, expat talents that is so beautiful in Kuwait, but it's not invested in the right way. And especially in manufacturing. I've dealt with a lot of projects that had amazing ideas, but didn't come to light because the process was too slow, or corruption, or because of corruption, they didn't get approved,
Right.
So, yeah.
But one thing I can say about Kuwait is the food is amazing.
Yeah.
I've been to all GCC countries. I've not found the same level of food.
Well, everyone comes with the food, and that is true. I won't lie to you. Although I'm not a foodie, okay, I'm definitely not a foodie, but I know that Kuwait and I got you that we have the cleanest food. And that's why, especially the food concepts outside of Kuwait, they work amazing. In Bahrain, now it's like, oh, this is a Kuwaiti. Like, I went to a few friends for a watch thing in Bahrain. I had like the seminar for Alliance, but then I met up with a few watch friends. They took me to this. Like, this is the best restaurant in Bahrain. And by the way, it's a Kuwaiti owner concept. I'm like, okay, that's why it's known,
Right.
Yeah.
And even people from UAE, Qatar, Oman, they all come here and they enjoy the food that's here.
Yeah.
Just a week back, my brother-in-law came from Dubai. Said, "Yeah, hey, what is this? These are kebabs? We don't get these kebabs in UAE." It's like amazing.
In other countries, they focus more maybe of an expat culture. Here we do, but we have a very good refinement in the food industry. And actually, one of our partners in Cubicle is Abhar company, which has the biggest central kitchen in Kuwait, and they do also like these food consultations, creating menus and all that stuff. And I've seen them operate. If you see their operations, like, that's scary, It's like, but that it comes with planning, operations, implement. It's years of experience. So, yeah.
Do you think a lot of tech innovations has happened in Kuwait? Because a lot of tech startups that I've seen and they've all been into food delivery, groceries delivery. Nothing else has come in Kuwait, as per my knowledge. Do you think that that's a problem?
It's a problem, and it isn't in some sort of way. Like, I see them more successful outside than locally, especially like the integration of AI,
Right.
let's say. But I don't know if like the market is not ready for it. Although we're very tech savvy people, like we like the latest phones and all that stuff. But I guess it's more focused on food and beverage because this is what we are known for, you know, but I've not seen it expand in other markets. That is true, which, if I'll be honest with you, I do not know why. But what grows in Kuwait is the medical industry.
Mhm.
Like, if anyone would tell me what's the best industry to start, and I'll say something that you're passionate in, or medical. Why medical? But you need your technical expertise in that. Like, if I had this doctor once that I met with her, she does operations in Kuwait and then Bahrain. She says, what I do in Bahrain in a month, I do it in a weekend in Kuwait because the purchasing power is so high.
Damn.
You know what I mean? A lot of these technical medical centers, they set up in UAE. If it's blooming there, but there's a lack of in Kuwait. So if they would set up here, I would definitely see them succeeding, you know?
Also, I think one of the reasons that could be is because tourism is lacking in Kuwait. So I think there's not a lot of ways where you can spend your money in Kuwait. So I think food and medical, like cosmetics and dentistry, all these things are, you know, for your own entertainment in a way. So I think these are the only two things I can see where you can spend your own money in terms of luxury.
Look, if I'll be honest with you, I feel that Kuwait can be a lot more touristic than it's portrayed, but it's not marketed that way. Like, if I compare it to other GCC countries, Kuwait has a lot of beautiful things. A lot of beautiful. I'm not saying because I'm Kuwaiti. Of course, I'm proud to be Kuwaiti. I'm proud to be Palestinian as well. But there is a lot of beautiful things. But we as Kuwaitis don't value it. So we want other people to value it. You know what I mean? Like, the maximum, I'll take you to this restaurant in Balkia. Okay, right. There's Liberation Tower. There's Sur. There's so many different things to do. But we as a culture are so used to the food and beverage that is our tourism. That even cinemas has become like heavily depleted as well. You know. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you pointed out really well that we don't value our things because even I was not born here, but I feel inside me that the heart is Kuwaiti.
Yeah.
You know, like all my life I've spent here, my schooling, my business, I've enjoyed everything in Kuwait. So, and I love everything about Kuwait, like the foods and the time we spent, the luxury that it has, the subsidies that we get. All these things are like kind of blessings in Kuwait. You cannot get it even in your own home countries.
Yeah.
So all these things are great things about Kuwait. And man, I enjoyed the conversation.
I enjoyed it too. I can keep on going. I came after work, but I got like freshened up. This was my coffee, you know? So, yeah.
Man, really, this is the longest, in the longest time I've had so much fun with you because all the concepts were kind of like serious, very professional. But with you was a mix of everything, you know, Palestine, your fitness, your watches, and your business. So had a little fun time with you, man.
I had much more fun. I thank you for the opportunity again. Just a last note that I would like to say is that don't get withheld from people because people will always advise you not to do a thing they're not familiar with. Whether it's people that you love, it's people who speak out of fear, and people that you don't care about, you don't know their intentions. So, simplest example, when I wanted to work in cubicle, everyone advised me not to. Why don't you just go to public sector or something more security in the private sector? But I went to where no one went, and alhamdulillah, this is a blessing from Allah. A lot of the things that I do is not normal, that will be honest, but I'm grateful to have that, like a bit of bravery to do it. I'm always afraid. But I don't like missing out on opportunities. On myself, at least. On others, no, I do fear it. I'm like, okay, I don't want to let this person down, but on myself, I just take the risk. So I think that for anything that you want to do, just establish it with good thoughts, shall I look there?
Yes.
Good thoughts, good grace, good intentions, good initiatives, and inshallah, Allah will bless you. Eventually, the journey is always hard, whether it was in my watch circle, in my job, in my life, in sports, there's always hindrances. But just keep moving forward. And at least you will put a staple in something. When you're different, you will have your own self-doubt because that's you. So, yeah.
Also, overcoming challenges is what makes you valuable. If you don't have a difficult life, if you've not overcome these challenges, you have no value as a person.
Yes.
So it's important to take on these challenges in life.
Every single thing that I told you, there was always a bad backstory to it.
Right.
But like, I'm grateful for what God's given me, and I'm going through something really difficult. But I know in 5-10 years from now, I'm going to be grateful for it.
Sure.
So, life is full of challenges, but facing that challenges and not running away from it and going through it, it's so hard.
Right.
But the fruits are much more prettier on the other side.
Absolutely. That's why your life is worth talking about. On the
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate that. I'm that important to talk about it. But thank you so much. I'm flattered.
The pleasure is ours.
Thank you, man. Thank
you so much, and may Allah rest in peace all the people who've passed away in Palestine, and our blessings and heartfelt condolences for everyone there.
Inshallah, we can really do something that does a change. I'm hoping, and once I get that opportunity, you'll see I'm going to be the first one running after that. Inshallah.
I mean,
Inshallah, all the journey too. Inshallah.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.